What's up, weirdos? It's your host, Tanisha, and welcome to Socially Awkward Podcast, where today we are going to get into the nitty-gritty of what is a distraction. What do I feel like a distraction is? What is distracting you? What is stopping you from being the best you that you can be? So let's get into this podcast. Yay! I just wanted to talk about this quote that I seen that actually my cousin posted. And the quote said, if the enemy can't destroy you, he will distract you. And I love that quote because the enemy, I feel like the enemy is anything or anybody that's trying to stop you from being the best you that you can be. Anything that's making you feel as though you're not pretty enough or worthy enough, or you're not worth anything, or makes you feel like you're less than because of anything. If there's anybody or anything around you that makes you feel less than, or don't make you feel beautiful, or don't make you feel up to par, you need to separate yourself. And the only reason I tell you this is because I went through this. I forced myself around friends, around people, around family that really wasn't for me. I had to force myself, and the only reason you're forcing yourself around somebody is because if you have to be something that you're not in order for them to like you, or you have to give them something in order for them to tolerate you, if you have to do anything outside of the ordinary of what your standards is, you need to let them go, because that is a distraction, and that is something that's stopping you from your goal and from your mission and from what God put you on earth to do. And if you notice, just like a plane can't land on a strip that is full of mess and that has all the people and all the luggage on it. It can't land. It has to land on a strip that's completely empty and on a strip that's completely clear and has been flagged as clear. So if God can flag your life and your heart and your mind as clear, I'm telling you, everything that you believe and everything that you're positive about will come to pass, and it will come to life. But we just have to speak life over every situation that we're in. If we're in a situation that we feel like we can't make it, or we feel like this is going to be the death of us, we have to remove ourselves and put our positive pants on. We got to say, oh, we're going to make it out of this. This is not going to be the last of me. This is not going to destroy me. This was meant to make me. This was meant to make me stronger. And it's so funny because I wrote down so many notes, y'all, and I ain't look at not one of my notes yet, but I want to read one of another, it was another quote that Martin Luther King actually, he said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means necessary, keep moving. And that's also another quote that I want to dissect. And it also goes perfectly hand in hand with it, because it's like, if something can stop you, oh, it's going to stop you. And if something is meant to destroy you, it will destroy you. But everything, I'm telling you right now, that everything that God put in your life is meant to make you stronger. It's not meant to destroy you. It's not meant to hurt you. And it's not meant for you to give up. I promise you, there's nothing that God wants to do to make you feel as though you're not good enough, because he put everything in us that he sees, and he sees everything perfectly. There's nothing about us that can do anything wrong in his eyes. But when we do, we hurt him, and we make him feel as though, what did I put you on earth to do? If you're walking around sad, if you're walking around hurt, if you're walking around half-healed, you're disappointing God, because he wants you to walk around happy, whole, full, and know that he got a purpose for you. And it's so crazy because I went through this thing of weight loss, and it was only because of stress and because of bad people around me, because of people not lifting me up but knocking me down around me. And I had to go through that because I didn't know what hurt was. I didn't know what being around fake was. So I had to be around a person that manipulated my mind, manipulated my heart. I had to go through certain things in my life to make me who I am. Now, I didn't go through what most people went through, but I'm telling you, for somebody who grew up in a pretty great household, always getting what you want, and then I have to fight for this, and I have to fight for that, and I have to struggle for this, and I've never even known what a struggle was. The most I've ever struggled was when my brother wanted to come with me everywhere I went. That was my struggle. My struggle was I wanted to be a regular kid rather than going to church every day. That was my struggle. And I thank God every day for my struggle, because it's so crazy how ungrateful we can really think our life is. But I'm telling you, like the old people used to tell us at church, baby, just keep on living. Just keep on living. Oh man, y'all don't understand. I used to think that life was so perfect and life was so handy dandy and life was just everything, and it's so sad, because you would really walk around naive and thinking that everybody loves you and everybody likes you and life is just this easy peasy thing. And it's crazy, because I promise you it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that at all.
And it's so funny to me to continue to think about all of the things that I've listened to or even experienced as a kid, just watching, people talk about just keep on living. If you haven't been through nothing, baby, just keep on living. If nobody has ever hurt your feelings, or if nobody ever talked about you, or if such and such, you, baby, just keep on living. I used to love that, because it used to be so funny when older people used to tell you to keep on living, and then you kept on living, and then you experienced every single thing that they used to try to warn you about. And it's crazy, because the biggest thing I used to get warned about was my friends. And I guess you can't call them friends if they're no longer around. And it's crazy, because everybody feel like it's an outgrowing. And I don't think it's always necessarily an outgrowing. Sometimes I also think that our society has a toll on our friendships as well. Because if all my friends in my circle aren't doing this, then we can't be cool. If we're not all doing that, then we can't be cool. And that was a thing that was really big back in my time of being in high school, was if a group of friends do one thing, y'all all have to do this. Or if you don't, then you're considered the outsider of the friends. And it's crazy, because everybody that was supposedly my friend knew that church was, my number one priority. And it's funny, because back in high school, people used to think it was a game, or think it was a joke when we used to, have church in school. And most of the time it was a joke. Most of the time it was. But little did I know, I was preparing myself for all the things that came with it. Because if I didn't have my confidence in God and confidence in who I was and confidence in who I knew, I would have got sucked into the cliques, into the popularity, into the you're not cool if you don't do this, or you're not cool if you don't do that. And that's a big thing that our society, especially the Black community, we're really big on. If you don't have these, you aren't cool. Or if you don't have those, you aren't cool. And I remember one time my dad, he thought he was doing, which he was doing the big thing by buying me some shoes. And y'all, he bought me some K-Swiss and some Reeboks. Now, if you know, back in like 2013, 15, that wasn't in no more. They kind of went out of style around 2012, 2011. So he bought me some of those, you guys, and I thought I was killing it. I went to school in my K-Swiss, thought I was killing it. And one girl came up to me and was like, we don't wear those anymore. And I looked at my shoes, and I looked back at her, and I said, oh, well, that sucks. My dad bought these, so I'm going to wear them. And it's only funny, because people would really go out their way to tell you what you're doing that they don't do. And it's so funny to me, because those are always the people that are trying to fit in with the Joneses, and you don't even have enough to meet the Joneses or even be on the same street as the Joneses, but we're trying to keep up with them. And I think if we also get out of our mind that we have to keep up with certain people or certain things to be cool or to be popular or to be in this clique, and it's like, that used to be me and that used to be a lot of people. But it's also like the older you get and the mature you get and the more you want to grow and see yourself grow, it's like, would I rather see myself looking like growth or would I rather really be growth? And that's something that no one thinks about. We rather all look like we got something rather than all having something. You can look like $1,000,000, but then be the brokest one out of the bunch. You know, you can look like you have it all together, but then as soon as you get home and get behind closed doors, you break down to the ground crying. So it's also like, we could help so many youth if we just stepped and walked into our truth. If we really did and walked the way God wanted us to and treat people the way he wants us to treat people, our world would be so much better and we can all honestly really come together. But we can't because we're all trying to keep up with so-and-so or keep up with our favorite influencer. And one thing about our favorite influencers, we don't know what they do or we don't know how much they have to go through to be where and who they are. So we also have to stop comparing ourselves to other people because that's just another distraction that's just trying to get in the way of who you are meant to be. Because if there's somebody out there that can make you feel like they're better than you, or they're going to do it. And as long as your mindset is, this person is better than me, or I feel as though this person is better than me or doing better than me or has more to offer, they're going to. That's one step ahead that person is because they have you behind them looking like, wow, what is it that they're doing that I can't do? What is it that they have that I can't have? And that's the thing that we have to get that kind of mindset out of our heads is we can do any and all things through Christ that strengthens us. If God give us the strength, then we can do it. But as long as we sit back and doubt ourselves and doubt what God really can do, it's going to be just as that. You know, as they also say, they say, so a man thinketh, so it will be. And it's so funny that you used to go in church and used to always think that this stuff is so cliche. This stuff is just something that they heard somebody else say. Girl, get out my face. And it's so funny because you really used to, well, I used to really be in church and listen to some of the stuff. And I used to say, this is so cliche. How can I literally allow someone to slap me in the face and turn the other cheek? It's not possible. But the older I got, the more I realized, if somebody slaps you on the cheek, are you going to go out of your way and go out of your destiny on who God called you to be to slap them back? And sometimes it's tempting to want to argue and it's tempting to want to slap someone back and want to snap and be real. But it's also the fact of everything has a time and a place. God is a God of decency and in order. So if you feel as though something is on your spirit really heavy or something is bothering you real heavy and you feel like, I got to get this off my chest. If I don't, I'm going to go crazy. Then you have to pray about it and God will guide you on how to say it in the right way to say it. Because a lot of us don't understand that the way we say things can also dim our light. Because God is the God of peace and God is the God of love as well. You can be real and say what you have to say and be stern without being rude and without being hurtful. You can tell someone anything. You can tell someone that what you're doing is hurting me or what you're doing is making me not feel right. You can do that in a way where y'all can have a genuine conversation and come together rather than us separating and have to be apart. Because it's really common for us to allow distractions and allow other people to speak into our minds and speak into our hearts and change who we are and alter our feelings towards certain things. So we also have to be mindful of who we allow in our space and what we allow in our space. If you are a strong believer on something not going this way, you need to stick to that. If something is outside of your standards or your boundaries, you stand on that. If someone is making you feel a way you don't like to feel, you stand on that. Because one thing about distractions, a distraction is anything or anybody that is coming trying to stop you from your purpose. If every time you do something good for yourself or good for your business or good for someone around you or anything good, and there's someone that has something to say or negative or putting it down, that's something that you have to block. Because if you're doing good deeds and God is putting something in your heart to do for somebody, there should be nothing or nobody that should get in between that. Because also a distraction can make you lose your relationship with God. A distraction can also make God feel as though you have another God above me, and he tells you that he's a jealous God. So we also have to spend more time talking to God, thanking God just for another day. If you woke up another 24 hours, that means you have not fulfilled your purpose. If you are still here on earth, God has a plan for you. God sees something in your life. You just have to work towards it and stay positive and not let any or anybody knock that down. And it was a quote that I saw, and it was so funny to me because it said, staying positive doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time. It means that even on hard days, you know that there are better ones coming. And y'all can't tell me that we have some days where we just feel like giving up. We feel like this can't be a day from God. God couldn't have blessed us with this day, but I'm telling you, every day is blessed and ordained by God, and he gave it to you so you can have a lesson. He gave it to you so you can learn something. He gave it to you so we can get our shit together, and that is self-care, happiness, inner peace in your time. We have to get it together. We have to love ourselves. We have to be happy. We have to find peace within ourselves. We can't go looking for somebody. We can't go looking for something to go fulfill our peace, because that's not what it's going to be. Our peace is us. Our peace is God. Our peace comes from within. Everything that's good comes from God. So any day that you feel that it's too hard, you pray to God and say, God, I know you got me. I know your arms are wrapped around me. I know that every day is blessed and ordained by you. So if this day goes bad, that means there's a lesson in it. If today goes shaky or rocky, there's something I need to learn from it. There's something that I need to look in the mirror and see, what am I doing? Am I doing it? Or is there someone around me that I need to remove myself from? Because at the end of the day, if you are not getting peace in your own home, that's a problem. If you're not getting peace wherever you walk, that's a problem, because God is peace. God is love. Everywhere God is, there's love. Everywhere God is, there's an order. There's a structure. Because it's so crazy that we look at God and we ask God all the time, God, why would you allow this to happen? And God's just looking at us. Oh, he's like the people at the church, baby, just keep on living. Just keep on living. Every day is blessed by God. Every situation is blessed by God. Every temptation is blessed by God. You can't have a testimony without having a test. You're just going to have the moaning. No one wants to hear to no moaning. I want to hear a testimony. I want to hear how you got through it, how you got to it, and I want to know everything. But that's a testimony. And a lot of people nowadays are going around doing these classes and coaching off of somebody else's testimony, off of someone else's struggle. But everything comes to an end. So if you feel down, or if you are looking at someone copy your dream or do what you felt God put you on earth to do, you just keep on living, and you just keep on pushing and keep staying consistent and doing what makes you happy. Because people are going to do what makes them happy every single time. It may be, oh, I forgot, or, oh, I'm sorry, but every time someone or everyone is going to do what makes them happy. So you have to look at yourself and say, what makes me happy? What is my passion? What can I do on a rainy day? If I feel like there's no one else I can talk to or nothing else I can do that can uplift me, I can do this. We got to have more time to create than to criticize. Because all that time we take criticizing, oh, this is not perfect, or no, it can't go like this, or it has to be like this, or in this kind of structure. That's more time that we're losing and going backwards and going more into depression and into anxiety. The more we hold off, the more we procrastinate. When you get a vision or when God puts something on your heart, we got to do it. We have to have more time to hustle than time to hate. One thing about it, anyone that's doing fashion or anyone that's fashion designing or doing motivating speaking, I promise you, I don't hate you. I'm happy for you. But if I ever talked to you and told you that this is something I love, or this is my passion, or this is what I see myself doing 10 to 5 years from now, I'm telling you, I don't hate you. I just feel as though we can't have the same passion, and I've been talking about it all my life. And that's where a lot of us get discouraged, where we talk to our friends or our so-called friends or our family or anybody, and we tell them what we see our life, what we see in our life, what we see us doing in our life. And then come to find out they're doing the same exact thing. And it's just so crazy that they follow the exact same blueprint as you. Wait a minute. How did you want to go to Atlanta and then Houston? How did you want to do clothing and then now interviewing? And it's just so crazy because we have to stop allowing distractions to stop us. Because I've let so many distractions and so many people stop me from my goal. And it's just because it's listening to these people just say, how can you do that? Or when? Or you've been talking about that so long but never did it. And it's always something or somebody that's going to criticize you, but you have to encourage yourself and push yourself to the limit to where anything that anybody say, if it don't align with what God tells you, you're ignoring it. If it don't align with what God put in my heart, I'm not even listening to you. Your opinion matters, but if it's not lining up with what God got to say, I'm not listening to you, or I don't really care what you have to say. What he says respectfully. Because it's at the end of the day, we have to stop allowing people to feed our ears and feed our minds and feed our souls with things that don't align with God and what he put in our heart. If God told me to go be an astronaut and you want me to go be a divist, I'm not going, I can't. I don't like being underwater. I don't even like to swim like that. And you want me to go be a diver. But God put in my heart to be an astronaut because he know I love the stars, the moon, and I like to float in air. So it's also, God knows your heart and God knows who he created. And he knows why he created you. So he would know more about you than your cousin. Yeah, we may be blood, but you don't know me like God knows me. You didn't put a dream in my heart. You didn't put this passion in my heart. So you wouldn't know. Don't ever allow anyone to tell you your passion. Don't ever allow anyone to tell you what you love to do. Don't let anyone be a distraction to you. Because if it can't destroy you, it will distract you. I'm telling you now from experience, listening to people, just listening to people even talk down on themselves can put you in a bad space. Everybody around you has to line up with positivity. Everybody around you has to speak life over each other. And if you're not friends with a certain person anymore, it's because God heard a conversation you didn't hear. We got to stop trying to force friendships and force relationships that God is trying to tear apart. Medea said it best. Well, Tyler Perry said it best. People are only here for a season. You have to know the difference. Some people are here for a season and some people are here for a lifetime. You have to know the difference. One thing about a lifetime person, they would never take from the tree. They would add. They're going to add to you. They're going to make you flourish. They're going to feel as though you're flourishing because they're adding so much water to them roots. You know how they say we need gems? That's what the people around you that's adding that positivity. That's what they're doing. They're giving you gems. They're watering your roots. They're helping you grow into a beautiful tree. Because if they're taking from you, if they're cutting off branches, if they're cutting your roots without you knowing, you're going to start deteriorating because there's something and somebody around you that's taking away from you. And we have to know when God is speaking to us. Everything positive and good and in order is from God. Anything that is trying to distract, kill, or divide a situation, that's nobody but the enemy. And I told you guys I didn't want to get too churchy and start going into the devil thing and all of that. But it's also the fact that we have to speak realistically. There is a hell and a heaven. And if we don't get our purposes and our passions together, and if we don't love each other and love on God like he loved us, we're going to be in trouble. The more divided our world gets is the more God is trying to get our attention. The more of our youth that are dying, that is God trying to get our Joshua generation. He's trying to get our attention. And I want to be the one reaching out to all my youth and all my generations of kids and youth, young adults, and even inspiring upcoming speakers and anybody that feel as though they want to lend a hand or be a hand to someone. You have to start within. You have to self-love, self-care, and know who you are and who God put you on earth to be. Did God put you on earth to be a giver, or did God put you on earth to be a taker? And one thing about it, if he puts you on earth to be a taker, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be here too much longer. Because there's not so many people that can just take, and can't give. And if you're surrounded around takers, around people who can take from your tree rather than give from your tree, I need you to pray a prayer of life into your own life. We have to start speaking life into ourselves. We have to start listening to motivation. We have to start speaking life into our children, speaking life into our spouses, speaking life into our friends, speaking life into any situation that we go through, because life and death is in the power of our tongues. So if every day we're moping, oh, I don't feel good, or oh, I feel like this, we're speaking that into existence. We got to start speaking life. We got to start speaking positive affirmations. We have to start speaking into existence of what we really want and need. And a lot of people nowadays is calling it manifest. But one thing about it, there's nothing new under the sun. All that is called speaking it into existence. Let's start using God terminology for what God put it here for. Manifest is a worldly word, and people can use it. People can say it as ever they please, but I'm going to stick to speaking into existence. Whatever you speak out of your tongue is going to come into existence. So if you are praying the prayer of I am successful, I am healed, I am a child of the Most High God, I am who God created to me, I have purpose, you're speaking that into existence. But the more you speak, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm skinny, or anything you speak out of your mouth, you are telling God, that's what I am. And it's so funny because when I went through my weight loss, I felt as though everybody around me was leaving me and not wanting to be my friend because of the way I looked. And it was all just to get my mindset where it is now. If they don't want to be around you because you don't have certain things, or you don't do certain things, or wear certain things, or talk a certain way, they're not meant for you. Anybody that comes back in or around my life is meant. If I have to chase you and chase you to be a friend and chase you and text you every day, hey, how you doing? Hey, that's me chasing. I no longer have energy to chase people. I'm putting my energy towards chasing who God wants me to be. And then when you do that, God puts who he wants in your life and who you need in your life. But when you go around chasing people, you're chasing the wrong thing. But when you start chasing God, that's when you start chasing what God has for you. That's like going into a place looking for the wrong thing. When you go looking for the wrong thing, you're going to find it. But if we go into the store looking for the vegetables and what we're supposed to go in there looking for, we're going to go straight to it. But when you start wandering around, that's when you start going into the cookies, all the stuff you don't need. And it's just a whole bunch of distractions. And it's so crazy because distractions has been among us all this time. But it seems like it's getting worse the more we uplift brands, the more we uplift luxury brands at that. If you don't have Balenciaga socks, shoes, you not cool. If you don't have Versace belts, you not cool. If you don't have a Gucci shirt, you not cool, even though he don't like us. If you don't have a Tommy Hilfiger pants, you're not cool. And it's just so sad that some of these people, they weren't even cool before they came that brand. So if that brand never became that brand, would I still not have been cool, or would I have been cool? We also have to stop looking at brands as a way of life. There's nothing wrong with being able to afford and have brands, but if that's your way of life, you need to look in the mirror and reevaluate. Because I would hate to walk around and make my life revolve around someone else's clothing or someone else's shoes or someone else's watches or someone else's hair. And it's just so crazy that this is where our world is literally dying and killing for. It's for a brand. And we also have to look at our brand owners, and we have to look at the CEOs and ask them, is this what you stood for? Is this what your brand stands for? That if I don't have it, I'm a nobody, or if I don't have it, I'm not a cool kid, or if I don't have it, I'm broke. I'll be broke before I pay $500 for a shirt that you just wrote GUCCI on. You see what I'm saying? So it's also like our mindsets are in a place where if we don't have this, we're nothing. If we do have this, we're the best. But at the end of the day, if I can't come to you and tell you how I feel and we have an adult conversation and you feed into my cup, are you really as real and as high standard as you think you are? If I can't come to you and get another gem from you, or love, genuine love from you, or support, or an uplifting word, how real can you be? Oh, just the clothes, just the watch, just the jewelry make you real. And for someone that loves fashion, one thing about it, it's not the brand that makes the clothing. It's the person. It's the attitude of the person wearing it. If you feel confident in nothing but a bra and ballers, you can rock that outfit and be the coolest person in the world. It's all about when you open up your mouth, are you giving and breathing life into other people? Other people, like that's the main thing. When you open up your mouth and when you speak to someone, are you breathing life into them, or are you taking their life away? Are you being a distraction, or are you adding the positivity that we all need? So that was today's episode. Today's episode was, if it doesn't destroy you, it will distract you. Make sure you leave a dope review, and make sure you leave a comment or anything you have to say or anything you would like to add. You can always send in a voice message that can be on the podcast and we can talk about it, because I need some people to talk to, because I feel like no one really understands that distractions are big nowadays. That's the biggest thing that's stopping a lot of us from our purpose. Let us pray. Dear God, I come before you to lay my panic and my anxiety at your feet. When I am crushed by my fears and worries, remind me of your power and your grace. Fill me with your peace as I trust in you and you alone. I know I can't beat this on my own, but I also know that I have you. Lord, you have already paid the ultimate price to carry my burdens, and for that I thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.